We're in a fight.
Just kidding. This is the nicest, tiniest table I've ever seen.
Yes, it's a small table.
I'm not gonna touch it.
Do you think it'll fall?
Yeah, if I sat on it. Not if you did though.
You're fine. Okay.
Next question.
Who's first?
The little one.
Oh.
Well, Dave's first. What's your question?
Hi.
So my question was, what was your favorite scene together? It can be anything.
Okay. Don't you have a favorite scene?
You know, it's funny trying to pick favorite scenes. I mean this sincerely because I'm not complaining here, but I was there every day, most of the time for most scenes. And I always looked forward to, the hardest days is when you have the same actor to work with all day. And I would love it when like, I didn't mean to look at you and say,
You did.
no, but
You did.
I just meant like, you know what I mean?
I hear you, yeah.
But like, I was always so happy because every actor who came in for the next scene had new energy and everything else. So, I mean, I always look forward to scenes with you. I don't think there was anybody on the show that I was like, oh man. There was one guy. But it wouldn't be good to say it. It's not,
Don't say it.
I won't say it. No, but there was one guy who I was like, because it was like,
Were they a regular?
no.
Okay. Were they a guest star for a period of time?
Yes.
Okay.
I think you know me.
Do I? I don't know. There was one person I didn't like very much about.
It's the same person.
Okay.
Because it was just like,
We cannot.
you're here to do your thing. I'm here to answer your question. I'm here to do your thing. But then there's this like other factor that doesn't need to be there. That's conflicting with like the energy or the flow of what we're trying to accomplish. So, I mean, I look forward to the scenes with all of you. I mean, last night we did Smallville Nights, and that. Applause, but you know, we kind of played around with the graveyard scene.
Yeah.
That scene's great.
It's a lovely scene.
If that scene, and that's something that we auditioned with, I don't know if you guys know this, but they had cast Kristin first. And in the audition for the network, and it was like, you know, one line, I was up there, and Kristin's back, this is the crowd, just like you guys are, and there's a bunch of people stacked in this room, and we're doing that scene, and I don't know at what point, but I had a line, and I blanked on it. Like I just kind of didn't remember the line. And Kristin's back is to everybody, and you mouthed, that's the best way you can say it, you mouthed my line to me, which triggered me, and then we went on. And I swear to God, at the end of the thing, the head of the network came up to me, he goes, that pause you took?
Tom, you told the story. No, I don't remember this.
You did it. I remember vividly. But I don't know if that's why I got the role or not. I don't know. Who knows?
I think there were multiple reasons.
Multiple
but
reasons.
Listen, yeah, you were definitely Clark Kent. I would have found Clark Kent.
Is this great sort of safety, you know, I got your back sort of feeling. So, I don't know if there's favorite scenes because I like them all.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think it is a tough question for, partly because I don't remember all the scenes. But I think that Tom said something that I think is really true, which is, I always felt safe with you. And I felt like when I came to work, I was protected, that I wasn't gonna get made fun of, that he wasn't gonna cross any boundaries, that I just felt safe. And I felt safe to we were always staring at each other for the entire scene. And I felt safe to hold your gaze and to be with you. And it's not like that with everybody.
No, it's not.
Yeah, at all. So
There's this thing I've heard where you can be in two modes. You can be in safety mode or creative mode, but you can't be in the same with both. And I think that because of our relationship and the relationship of the show and the set, we were safe enough to be creative.
Mm-hmm.
Because sitting there and staring at another person, try it. Everybody turn to the person next to you. Hold their gaze.
Welcome to our acting class.
Hold their gaze and try to count to 5. You will
No,
make
really,
it.
just try it. We're waiting.
Bob's doing it. Bob's doing it. But obviously this is not the same environment. But it's a thing. There's a lot of trust there that you're not. I think Michael said it also, like we were always trying to make each other better.
Yeah.
And I mean, he had a lot more notes about my performance than you've ever said about my performance.
Michael has notes.
But our performances are more about vibe and connection, and his was more about, words,
Yes.
which is fun. So anyway, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I thought you were going to say what the horse riding was.
Oh, I love the horse riding scenes. Always my
That
favorite.
blooper that we played last night, we played the blooper of you trying to talk to Clark.
I just, the horse kept pushing me. Yeah. Thank you. Olivia.
Hi. So you guys have the best chemistry I've ever seen in my life. You guys are who I compare everyone to. You're amazing. How did you guys keep that chemistry going through the years?
Did we?
What do you mean?
Someone else, when I was talking to someone at a meet and greet, they were like, especially in the beginning years.
Always.
I don't know, again, I come back to trust, and I don't know what chemistry is. I cannot for the life of me figure it out, and I feel like I've been lucky. I've done so many shows where I am in some sort of intense, epic love story. And I feel like I've been lucky enough to have chemistry with each of those men. And I feel like so much of it is trust for me to feel safe. Not everybody's like that. I've heard that there's a really famous TV couple who hated each other, and they had incredible chemistry, and that show went for seasons, 20-something episodes, but they wanted to murder each other, and they kept messing with each other.
It's called passion.
Exactly. But that worked for them. So I guess I'm grateful that you felt that way. But I think it came back to what we were just talking about before. For me, I don't know about you.
Great to work with.
Thanks, Tom.
And we just. Thanks, guys. It's just like the idea, the only way home is through this scene.
Yeah.
We gotta say this, we're in this weird situation that's not realistic, so let's lean into it. Let's make it work so we can move on. And I think we share that sensibility in a sense. And because the Clark and Lana makes no sense. She's smarter than that. But for a TV show, you need that elongated drama and tragedy and tension. So I thought we did a good job of elongating it. I think what we also had going for us, I don't know about you, we would get scripts one at a time. So there was no wait a minute. So in this season, Clark is going to lie to Lana 37 times, and she's going to. That would actually not help my performance. It was like scene by scene, script by script, and so we didn't when we didn't know what Clark was thinking or what Lana was thinking, we didn't know. So maybe that was helpful.
I realized too as we're talking, and I've said this before, but I do think one of the things I love about long-running stories is that as we've done all these scenes over time, the more we have scenes, the more I pull on all of these actual experiences that we've had, moments that we've had as these characters in situations. So whenever Lana was faced with another thing like Clark, there was this whole history that I could pull on, all of them, and they were embodied memories because we had done those things. And so I think that allowed for there to be depth and pain and being torn and having all of that present at all the time.
I think in one of the commentaries you had mentioned that the scene wasn't working. He said you, Kristin, would give so much to Tom to kind of push the scene and have that connection. So.
I don't remember. That is what acting, that is what being a good acting partner is, yeah.
That's what you always do.
Yeah, I think that's what we try to do. You want, I mean, that's what you want in a scene, is to make sure that something works for someone to, even if your character, sometimes you do something different off camera because it pushes somebody in a different direction.
I don't remember what episode I was directing, but it was a scene between you and Allison. Allison was apologizing to you, and I don't know if it was the first take or second take, whatever, but it was over your shoulder to Allison, and she was apologizing to you. And as on the other side of the camera, as a director, I wasn't buying it, right? And Allison's a terrific actor.
Oh, she's wonderful.
Terrific. And for some reason, I walked over and I said to you, I go, can you turn around and put your back to her? And Allison heard me say this. And she was like, what's going on? And I'm like, I wanted to free her from the eye contact. And man, that next take, because these are little things, like actor little things, like whatever. But that was like, I don't know, I'm really proud of that movie. It was like really cool. But that's a trust thing. That's like, you're here to help each other. And in real life, that's not always the case. So it's a very sacred environment that I really appreciate.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll keep my answers shorter now.
Hi, Kristin and Tom. I'm Marlessa. Thank you both so much for being here. Again, it's been so wonderful meeting both of you this weekend.
We're Smallville Con.
Kristin, just talking with you about the hero's journey yesterday, still one of the greatest moments ever for me, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
So Clark and Lana, respectively, as characters, go through so much over the series and have different phases of their characters, like high school or Red K. Clark phase, or Daily Planet, and with Lana, girl next door, businesswoman, to Dark Side.
Lana was very forgiving.
Maybe too much, but Lana's my favorite. So, what aspect of their journeys as characters kind of speak to you most on like a personal level, or that you find most inspiring when you're thinking back about their character journeys?
Put up with that.
With you?
No, with Clark.
Yeah, that's what I meant. With you, Clark, not you, Tom. You, Clark. Most
TV show too, like you need to build tension. Sorry, I'm not trying to answer you. I'm just saying, like, people are like, oh, it's like that TV shows are all about tension and people not being together, and maybe they will, maybe they won't. I mean, I don't know if you guys see the morning show that they did for Apple. Like, that, the whole thing is that. It's just beautifully well done. That's why I watch it on the airplane. That's what TV shows are all about. And, I don't know, I don't want to talk for you.
No, but I think I understood your question, but I think for me, and I don't remember everything about the show, but right now, in this moment, answering that, I feel like the transition that I was most moved by for her, and there are so many, but I think it's when Nell left, and if I'm remembering this correctly, and she then has her own apartment, her own business, like that's the direction that it all goes in. And for a while, I feel like she's moving really independently into her own life, and she's young. And that part of her story I found really wonderful. Of course, there's the later transition that is into her own power, which is more of a heroic journey and more of an internal journey. But I think that was it showed a lot of her strength in that moment, making those decisions. Is that what you were asking?
Yes, like kind of like the phase in which you're
Yeah.
I didn't get that. I got what you said, but I didn't get that out of that
No,
question.
you didn't get the question. It's okay.
That was awesome. That's one thing. I always thought that when Lana leaves with her kryptonite skin suit, that she became a superhero.
Yeah, of course.
I always thought that.
No superhero like in title, I don't think she's like,
Behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Ninja.
she doesn't need to like acclaim.
She doesn't a symbol or a name.
No symbol or no name. She's just Lana.
She's no name. That's her name.
That's a Canadian thing. No one really knows.
The value of nothing still has a name, which gives it value.
Whoa.
Next question.
Hi, Tom and Kristin. My name's Patrick, huge Smallville fan. Also enjoyed Burden of Truth. To continue, Tom, I watched you Cheaper Than a Dozen. The vlog. So, my question is, if there was like a play based on like Smallville.
Play?
Yep, a play.
Like stage play?
Yep.
Kind of like Smallville Nights? You were there.
I've attended one. I wasn't at that particular one, but yes. I was at the Motor City Comic Con one.
Right.
But yeah, so if there was like a play of Smallville, what would it look like, and what characters would actually be in it? Would Lex be in it? Michael Rosenbaum?
If there was a play and it was a drama, you have to have Lex. We need an antagonist?
This is all.
Or it could be a two-hander, just Lois and Clark, dealing with their family drama.
See what you're doing? Just how loud it is.
I feel like you could go in multiple directions.
So Lana's excluded from this?
I mean, okay, you could also do like an interlude. I mean, but the problem is it going to be like a stage play like Wicked, like a musical that's on an epic scale where you can have like massive things happen?
Let's say it could be Broadway scale play. So you've got
A Broadway. Is there a superhero musical?
There's a Superman musical. It's called It's an Artist Superman. It's Superman, and they recorded it for like in 3 days in the 70s. I did a whole report on it.
You did?
Yeah, honest to God.
Did you see it?
It's on YouTube, and it's
She wasn't born.
It's on YouTube?
It's one of the cringiest things ever. They could only put Clark Kent, Lois Lane, and one other character in it, but everything else is different.
Oh my goodness.
It originated in the 60s.
Okay, well, we could do, because there's no super, but you wouldn't wear tights. Again, back to a two-hander, really intense
You never walk on the set and look you in the eye when you do that.
Okay, but on the stage, on a wire?
John Glover on the stage.
You're right, we need John Glover. Why not ask him?
Jesus, are you a producer? Because you're getting this thing going. We got good ideas. I was just going to say no.
I'm sorry.
It's very open-ended, so I want to get you guys' thoughts on it. Of course, John Glover was 100% kind of what I was thinking about.
Of course, yeah, of course. I mean, he's dead on the show. So
He has mostly acting experience in
yeah, so we'll have to do it back in time.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Lionel with his child son Lex.
Time portal.
Yeah, the time portal.
Yeah, they did that with King Kong versus Godzilla. I'm sure you've seen it. There's like Middle Earth. Not Middle Earth, it's called something else. What's it called? What? Hollow Earth. So there's an Earth in Mars. And the reason how Godzilla can move so quickly throughout, this is one of the portals. By the way, that's what they say about Bigfoot. Bigfoot is walking through portals. So that's why he can disappear when people spot him. He's
He's
gone.
gone. He's in this other Earth.
Just like the Loch Ness Monster.
So that's what Lionel's gonna do.
Yeah, he's Bigfoot.
He's Bigfoot. You found your
We're on to
place.
something. We're on to nothing. Thank you. That actually is pretty good. You have a lot of good ideas about structuring stuff.
Hi, Kristin. Hi, Tom.
Hi.
I was wondering if you could tell us about a moment, a scene, or a stunt that you were like, yes, I can't believe I get to do this, and a moment, a scene, or a stunt where you were like, oh no, I can't believe I have to do this.
Go ahead.
There was a scene in a graveyard where Lana was in a sarcophagus or something, in a
Was
stone.
the bug episode?
I don't know.
Oh no, I was in a bunch of these things.
But she was stuck in like a stone thing, and I was supposed to punch through it. And it was just early. This was like season 1 or
I think it was
season
the
2.
bug episode.
I think it was. And I was new to kind of this stuff, and I remember it was like something like this, and they're like, I don't know. They're like, well, it's scored underneath. Scored meaning like they cut it underneath, so when you punch it, it breaks easy. And I was like, kind of like, I just don't. And the guy who made it, the special effects guy, I was like, I don't think I need to do this. And the director was like, well, we can cut around it. We'll get the stunt guy to do it, whatever. And the guy who made it, the special effects guy, he goes, are you fucking kidding me? He goes, and it didn't break. And his like wrist buckled, and he was like, and he kind of like walked away with his tail between his legs. So that was one. I said earlier earlier, I remember that episode where you were doing like whatever ninja thing and you went through the air, and I was so impressed that you looked like you were doing it so easily. But my favorite thing I ever did was in an episode where Clark jumped off a bridge and landed on the back of a semi-truck and slid. Right, because what I didn't do was actually jump off of but what we did do is the truck was moving, very slowly, but it was moving. And what I had to do was jump onto this sled that the stunt guy set up. So I jumped on the sled and I had to slide forward, and they kind of pulled me forward, if that makes any sense. And the first take, apparently, I just like froze. Because in my mind, I was like, get on the thing, and then the thing was going to take you there. I wasn't thinking about the journey after. So apparently, I was just kind of like. And Chris Sayre was like, hey, let me talk to you for a second. So when you're on there, your body would be moving, your body would be doing this, and blah, blah. So, okay, so the second take, I jump on it, and I'm like, you know, it's what you see in the highlights sometimes, or the trailer, or even like whatever. But that was my kind of, we did a lot of stuff. My favorite days were stunt days. Because to me, those were my days off. Because I didn't have to talk.
It's true, you didn't have to talk. It's fun. You're using a totally different muscle.
And the physical thing I really like. So.
Yeah. I think for me, wire work was my most fun on that show. And anytime I had to be freezing cold, I was not into it. So being in a river, being in a rain tower.
That thing, I don't remember what episode we did that thing. We were in a river. I did see you.
Yes.
And they literally brought in a hot tub.
Yeah. We would go to the river, into the hot tub, into the river. It's a glacier river. It's very, very cold. That was Emily. Yeah, Emily episode. I don't, but I remember some things. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey guys, so I had asked Erica this, and I have to ask you guys. If you could rate New Jersey on a scale of 1 to 10.
Rate our what?
New Jersey.
Rate New Jersey?
Yes.
Oh, it's a solid. You know, I haven't seen New Jersey. I lived in Manhattan when I was younger, but I never got made it to Jersey. Sorry. I mean, I was in a car to get here.
It's pretty.
It's pretty.
The trees are really beautiful.
Yeah, 10 out of 10.
Old houses are nice.
10 out of 10.
Yes.
Hello.
I.
Tom, how was your experience working with the professional wrestlers who guest starred on the show?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
He remembers this.
No, I do remember this because, dude, I'm not a small person. I'm even bigger than I was now. Or then. Sorry.
You're bigger now than you were then.
No, but Batista was on the show.
Oh, he was?
Yeah. You weren't a part of the storyline.
Is this the Erica storyline?
I don't know. It was Clark was like in a fight club or something, some shit.
Right, on episode 2 on a different show.
Yeah.
Sorry, go.
So Batista's on there, he plays a bad guy, I don't remember what. So, but there's a moment where he's got to battle Clark. And something happened where he like hits Clark, and Clark flies across the warehouse and hits the wall, falls down, blah, blah. And then Batista's character is supposed to pick Clark up, above his head. And all the stunt guys had all this wire work and this, and I remember him going, I'll just pick him up. And then from behind me, I look at him, and I don't want to be rude, I mean, like, really? He's like, let's go. Like, he was like, let's go. And this dude picked me up. Oh my God! And I'm up there, like, I felt like, what's your name from Dirty Dancing? I felt so special and vulnerable as I've never been picked up like. So, yeah, he was great. I haven't seen him since, and I would love to run into him again because I think he'll remember that because that was his sort of way. He was sort of like in his stage of like getting or building his career out of wrestling, and I think he did it. I think he's doing all right.
So, yeah.
I think he's doing all right. Maybe he won't remember. I'd like it if he would. I'm the guy he picked up. He's like, picked up a bunch of guys.
Hi, I'm Kristin. Nice to have me on this wonderful weekend. My question is that, so Smallville ended in 2010, 2011.
Thank you.
Let's say there's a future where I know you guys were pretty much done with it, but let's say they said, hey, we want to give it one more season, we'll put on the cape and the cowl, we'll do it for one season just so everyone can see Superman. Would you guys and everyone in the cast would
You know, it's a hard question to ask because I know as a fan you want that to happen, but it will never happen. If at best we'll be recast as older versions of our characters or parents of our characters. Like you could play your mom now. Well, I can play my grandparents. I can play Jarrell. So, you know, I don't think there's a version of Clark leaving Lois for Lana now. You know? Right?
Yeah, you're right. You're not wrong.
I'm just trying to be right.
Discussion law today tells me to be right.
I'm working on it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, Tom and Kristin. First of all, we all love you both so much. So, I'm a Lana fan all the way through, but one of my favorite lines from the entire show was actually when Clark tells Martha that Alicia makes him feel both special and normal at the same time. And it really spoke to me at the time because I have a Trey Jackson too, like Christopher Reeve did, and thankfully, like I found someone who makes me feel that same way. So he's here with me.
Where is he?
He's on Grace. And so for my question, I'm wondering, do you think one of the reasons why it didn't work out for Clark and Lana was because he was afraid that he didn't understand? And do you think it would have worked out if Lana had been made or infected from the beginning, with powers and early on? So
This is a hypothetical question. How are you going to handle it?
You know I don't like it. I don't know. Taurus. I really don't like that. You know that about One of the things we talk about on the podcast, and this is not a promo, is when we're talking about how Lana is very much the heart and the measuring stick a lot of times of what's right or what's wrong. That's what Mike Lana came up with.
Okay.
But that, I think, is what drew Clark and Lex to Lana, is because of that sort of presence that she had. And I just think that, Lana deserved more. I think as a fan, Clark could have told her day one and she would have been fine with it. She would have probably embraced it and helped him ascend to his best potential. But for the nature of television, it just couldn't be that way.
And also for the nature of teenage insecurity.
Yeah.
Even if it was clear that she would be that person, it doesn't mean that someone's ready to share the thing that they feel the most ashamed about, the most uncertain about. Anyway, continue.
No, that was it.
But yeah, it's funny when I think about it because in some ways, it should have worked out for them, but how many relationships, and maybe there are a few people here that have had this, but it's rare that you meet in high school and are able to make it last your whole lives. It's not common. And I think that these two went through a lot of trauma that they never unpacked together. Never. And I also think maybe, while I think they had a real soul connection, I do think that Clark maybe needed someone that was less intense, maybe? Not intense, because Lois is intense in her own way, but Lana, I think Lana can get into the sad stuff a little, And Lois is a lot more going out. And I think that Clark maybe for his journey needed someone more like that than someone who's going to sit at the table and be like, let's get into this. You know? Maybe, I don't know, I'm pulling stuff out my butt, but I do think
It actually makes a lot of sense to me.
Does it?
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
That was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My name is Shanna. First of all, I want to thank Kristin for joining us for Smallville Nights last night. It was my favorite one.
That was pretty special. For those of you who were there who've never been, that doesn't happen. It only happened once before. Like, we tried to make it, because this is a Smallville convention, that's what I call it. We tried to make it special, and we invited the girls, and it was maybe some. I was scared when you came down the aisle. Like, I knew you were going to be there.
Yeah.
When you came out, like, Mike and I are both like shameful little boys. we ran from mama. It's like,
I think I have that effect sometimes.
it works.
Sorry, thank you, Kristin.
So anyway, I don't want to open a can of worms like I did in Boston and ask
Well, then don't.
When do you think it would have been more appropriate for Clark to tell Lana about the secret that didn't end with her either having a concussion or dying?
Again, it's like there is. Having rewatched it from the podcast,
Yes.
there is no one who would be more receptive to Clark's truth than Lana. Nobody. Even before Chloe. Yet it doesn't happen, and that's the tension of television. And I think Alan Miles just sort of like wringed out that towel as long as they can. I mean, that's...
Well, and they had to give it enough weight that, like, because Lana's parents she was orphaned in that meteor shower that brought Clark. Like, there were things that maybe he could use to tell himself that it would go badly for him if he said anything. Because she would blame him for their deaths and all that kind of stuff, which seems nonsensical, but I understand why someone would worry about it. I don't know. He hates hypotheticals.
You don't? Who doesn't? People like...
Who likes
Wait, are there people who like hypothetical questions?
Yeah.
Really, they confuse the shit out of me. You know that. No. They confuse me.
Hi, Tom and Kristin. As a Jersey girl, I hope you guys are able to come back and see more of what Jersey has to offer than just Parsippany. So season 5, episode 17, titled Void, is coming up on Talkville.
Okay.
And so in it, Lana becomes addicted to a serum which allows her to see her dead parents. And then Clark gets injected with it and is able to talk to Jonathan just after his death. That episode has like one of the most emotional scenes ever with each of you. And then the saddest closing scene, in my opinion, where Lana tells Clark that she's felt lonely all her life, even around him.
I'm glad you're telling me.
So how difficult is it to act out those vulnerable scenes and then have to do take after take after take to get those close-ups that Smallville is known for?
I only remember the drug addiction part of that.
You were amazing.
And I had my bags under my eyes. Oh, it was lovely. I felt so free. I felt like I actually really enjoyed it because I always had to look pretty. And even when I was like bloody, there was like, what did they call it? The zone?
Triangle of beauty.
Triangle of beauty nonsense. So I always had to like look a certain way, and if I like made my face do something that was not attractive, I would be like, don't do that with your face. So I was able to just like be free in this like my bags under my eyes or whatever. I remember doing that.
It's one of your best performances in Smallville.
Thank you.
I loved it.
Oh, great. Amazing. But I don't remember the scenes you're talking about. I don't remember.
Oh, with the parents. Well, the last scene was like the one. That's like one of my favorite scenes between both of you guys. You're in your college room, and you're like basically. It was right after your breakup, so you're telling him that you've always felt alone, even around him, and that you don't want to become dependent in the future. So yeah.
Right. Do you remember doing that?
Probably not.
Sorry, it sounds familiar. The only thing I remember is you said something like, don't do that with your face.
Right.
And somehow, I don't know where, but in my mind, I'm like, I've heard that before.
Really?
And I don't know if it was said to me or to somebody else, but yeah, like, don't do that with your face. Some trigger.
So you got to.
I have no idea what she's talking about. I've not seen the episode.
I'm
sure I'm
going
in
to see
it.
it soon on top. Yeah, it's coming out soon.
Yeah,
It's
we-
episode 17.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch on the plane tomorrow. Yeah, I have to.
Okay, so you're gonna watch yourself on the plane.
No, it's hilarious. It's hilarious because the person sitting next to me sees me watching Smallville. And by the way, listen, 90% of the time they don't make the connection. But the person who does, well, why wouldn't you watch your own TV show?
For many reasons.
Well, like what? Because I'm in it. It's pretty good. But yeah, I think it was, I don't know if you're here today, but a fan, I was telling the story to a fan today. And they're like, well, why wouldn't you watch your own TV show? And I was like, you're right, why wouldn't I? One is I don't like looking at that because sometimes I forget it even happened.
Oh, yeah.
It's a whole other thing in my life that a lot of it I want to forget. But it brought us here, which is the best part. That's what came out of all of it. It's like a black hole and it spit us out in here.
Or through the little Bigfoot. Yeah.
Yeah, which brought us here. I don't know where I was going with this, but yeah, I haven't seen the episode, I don't remember it, but I will soon.
But I do think that there's a continuity always when you're coming into like all different takes, and that's just part of the.
How do you keep that emotional?
You have to learn how to do it. There are tools that every actor has in their toolbox. I hate saying that, sounds like a really annoying thing. But there are actors, trained actors have a lot of things that they can go to. But for me, it's always about having a rich enough experience of the character and finding that I'm as present as I can be in that moment. And for me, sometimes on Smallville, because I had fewer tools then than I do now, I would have to ground myself. So I would literally find a spot where I could be on the earth and I would just touch the earth. And if it was like actual earth, that was way better for me, just so I could get back in my body. And for some reason, humming Amazing Grace really brings me into my body. And sometimes I would use that to help bring me into my body.
It's a process. I remember watching this, my friend of mine, Andy Garcia, he was caught doing an interview, and I remember seeing it, and somebody said, so how do you do this? How do you, as an actor, like you just jump in? He goes, well, it's a process. It's not a this, it's a process. There's stuff that goes on before you guys see, you guys all see the finished process, which you should. But there's a lot, it took 10 days to do an episode of Smallville and you guys watched it in 42 minutes.
Right. Yeah.
So, I'm not hating on anything, but it's a process and every single actor has a different process. And when you meet an actor, and maybe speaks to you a little bit, where you can get a sense of the other character's process and they overlap, almost like everybody's vibrating and the vibrations overlap. Maybe that's chemistry.
Yeah, I think that's true.
You know, it's everybody's different. Michael's very different.
Michael has a totally different process.
Totally different process.
And when you work with people for a long time, I'm sure you get used to it, and you have to find a way to carve your space, especially for emotional stuff, if that's something you struggle with. And some actors do, some actors don't. Like Allison never struggled with emotional scenes. But it is true, and I think that part of it is finding it fresh all the time, and that's the hard part, because you'll do it one take, and you're like, oh, that felt really good. I'm gonna try and mimic that, and that's a death trap. You can't go that way. You've got to go okay, that's done, finished, new moment, and find another way to reconnect. And with chemistry, it does feel like, and also safety.
Yeah,
You can find that presence in the person that you're with.
Yeah.
And when you don't have that, like some of the actors we worked with on the show, one in particular, it was impossible. It was impossible to find that.
It's almost better if they're not there.
Exactly. I'd rather actually text on the map box.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's funny, it's the same person came to mind to me. And I know that, and I can't, I mean, she's here somewhere, and I would say this in front of her. I know Erica got on a show with a guy who just wasn't he wasn't a team player. And it became very difficult to get there. And, yeah. But anyway, I'm gossiping now.
Thank you.
Sorry, really fast. What's up?
I wanted to say that, Kristin, you're very beautiful. And
Thank you.
how was your experience like directing?
What about me? Thank you. Here too.
Sorry, Mom. I was just wondering, how was your experience like directing Tori's spelling? Because she's very nice.
Oh, for me with Tori Spelling? She was great. She actually taught me a very good lesson. So the first, I think it was called Hydro that my director was.
Yes. We talked about it in another panel.
Oh, and she was pregnant, and she was concealing it for the character, and she had to run across some like a wet outside of a building on a wet street, whatever. I'm trying to be too articulate. She was running on a wet street, and her husband at the time was there. He was the father of the child, and we did this thing where I went back to Vito Village. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, downtown Vancouver. You know what I'm talking about. And it's a wide shot where the character barks out of these doors and goes that way, and then falls or something weird. And I'm sitting next to her husband, father of the child, whatever. She comes out, bites it, like slips, falls, and this dude was like, whoa! And I grabbed him like, that's a stunt double. He didn't know that it was the stunt double of his wife who's pregnant with his child. Oh my God, he's so sweet, so awesome. But she taught me a very good lesson. We were shooting the Daily Planet, and she was coming out of an elevator, there was something happening, and whatever. And I didn't realize that I kept coming up to her and being like, that was awesome, that was amazing, that was great. We're just gonna do one thing for this. That was amazing, that was great, we're gonna do one thing for this. That was amazing. And she said to me, she goes, if you keep saying everything's amazing, I lose whether or not it's good or bad.
Ah, that's true.
And I was like, oh, well, that was amazing. No, like, it taught me that, like, you can't just, like, say the same thing all the time, because then it loses its value, in a sense. So,
Yeah,
she
like
taught me a
Talkville.
lot. What's that?
Like on Talkville, like how all your ratings were like 1, 2, stuff.
With what?
Saying so it loses its value, is 1-2 rating?
Yeah, like 1, 2 ratings for like 1 3 volts.
Oh, yeah. But if I see you're awesome all the time, eventually you're going to be like,
This means nothing to
This
me.
means nothing because everything's awesome. It's like, you can't tell a kid, you know. So anyway, that's what Tori taught me to think about my verbiage as a director. Yeah. Thanks, bud.
Last time I talked to you guys was a couple years ago. I won that Omaze competition, so it's nice to see you guys again. So I wanted to bring up something that came up in Kristin's panel yesterday. So there's that fan theory that Lana is
I love this fan theory.
that she's a meteor freak, and that's why so many people are obsessed with her. That's why she's a meteor freak, and that's why so many people over the course of the show are obsessed with Lana.
But that's her power from
That's
the
her
meteor
power.
shower, that she can like essentially make everyone like her.
Become obsessed with her, obsessed with her. Clark, Lex, Whitney, Jason, basically every guest star.
There are so many better reasons why people are obsessed with you.
Wow, but that's an interesting theory.
But carry on. My question was going to be, as the show progressed, and you were getting new scripts, did you guys ever be like, oh my gosh, we have another character that's obsessed with Lana this week?
I don't remember thinking that.
Joking with me?
Do I remember? Did I
I
think that?
never had that thought. I've never had that thought in my life. If that's the answer. Like, this is another reason.
It's only like 5 times a season, that's why it's
But there were not very many people on the show, and
I'm surprised not more people were obsessed with her. I mean, if you looked around Smallville, not a lot of options.
the options you saw. And eventually Lily, there were lots of beautiful girls that like hung out in the...
Were there?
Thomas Welling.
I never...
That is always the reaction you want when you walk in.
Superman. People have planes to catch. Not all of us can fly.
People can't fly, Lex.
I get it. Top boy like Kristen.